Hey, how's it going? We're live. So I usually do my live streams now are every Friday at 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. Eastern every Friday. But this one, because there's a debate, I'm doing a preview stream. So basically, I'm going to go through some information, kind of some stories, but related to the race. And then I'm going to go through a debate preview. Going to go on CNN's page, show you when it starts, who's moderating it, when it's supposed to end, and go through each of the candidates and maybe make some predictions on what to expect, and also what Bernie Sanders should do in this debate. And also, just to note, just in case this happens, I'm expecting an important phone call. So if this phone call happens while I'm live, I'm gonna just go to a be right back sign, and it'll take me like 2 minutes. But just letting you know. Okay, first, let's check out these Fox News polls. So I'm gonna do this thing now. I was told that it's weird when I'm really small by some people. So I'm going to see if we can do this where I'm just in the corner. It's like, hey, what's up? And do it this way. So you can still see me. But let's go to Fox News, because this came out, I think, last week, 4 days ago. But I want to show this because a lot of this stuff, the other parts of this poll, we're not focused on. So, I mean, this, like, first of all, you can see here, vote preference, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, all pretty much the same right there. But if you go down to this one, honest and trustworthy, Bernie Sanders, most honest and trustworthy candidate, according to this Fox News poll. Then Elizabeth Warren, way down there. Bernie's 9 points ahead. He also beats Joe Biden by 11 points and Trump by, I believe, 24 points. So this is a Fox News poll. Bernie Sanders, top of the list when it comes to honest and trustworthy. Also going down to this one, opinion of. So this is favorables. Bernie Sanders, highest favorable opinion in this Fox News poll, followed by Joe Biden, then Elizabeth Warren, and then Donald Trump. Just want to share that since I thought that was some interesting info. Actually, let me scroll down a bit further. No, there's no more. Okay. Just in case there was something else. So I wanted to share that. Let me also share, I think many of you have likely seen this by now, but Bernie Sanders differentiating himself here from Elizabeth Warren. Actually, this one I do have to shrink down, don't I? No, I can do it like this.
Than you, she didn't just come through this. Didn't pretty close to identical positions on the big issues. What do you say to those who say that they would pick her because she's 8 years younger than you? She didn't just come through this. Didn't just have a heart attack. And look, in the positions, you're pretty much the same.
Well, look, every American is going to make his or her own choice about the candidate that they want. And Elizabeth Warren has been a friend of mine for some 25 years. And I think she is a very, very good senator. But there are differences between Elizabeth and myself. Elizabeth, I think, as you know, has said that she is a capitalist through her bones. I'm not. I think the situation today that we face in this country of the greed and the corruption that is existing in Washington, that is existing at the corporate elite level, where you have massive amounts of price fixing going on in the drug companies, where we're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people, where we have right now, as we speak, in the fossil fuel industry, you got companies making billions of dollars a year in profit. Doing what? Oh, by the way, they're destroying the planet. All right. And I think business as usual and doing it the old-fashioned way is not good enough. It's not regulation now. What we need is, in fact, I don't want to get people too nervous, we need a political revolution. I am, I believe, the only candidate who's going to say to the ruling class of this country, the corporate elite, enough with your greed and with your corruption. We need real change in this country.
So you don't think that's what Elizabeth Warren is saying?
Well, look, Elizabeth is a friend of mine. She will speak for herself. I've just told you what I view.
But you have said there are differences, and you just mentioned a label.
Well, it's not a label. I mean, Elizabeth considers herself, if I got the quote correctly, to be a capitalist to her bones. I don't. And the reason I am not is because I will not tolerate for 1 second the kind of greed and corruption and income and wealth inequality and so much suffering that is going on in this country today, which is unnecessary.
So Bernie Sanders here is beginning to be a little more vocal in differentiating himself from Elizabeth Warren. This is good. He's doing it in a way where he's clearly defining the fact that she is saying she is a capitalist to her bones, whereas Bernie Sanders is saying he does not trust corporations. He to take on the powerful, you can't be a capitalist to your bones, because, I mean, it's antithetical to taking on powerful interests. So Bernie Sanders here painting a more clear distinction than he has in the past between himself and Elizabeth Warren. And it also goes to the, there are other things he can say. He can mention her vote to increase military spending, or Warren voting with Trump on that. He can mention, their proposals are not the same. Bernie wants to cancel all student debt. Bernie wants to cancel medical debt. Bernie is actually solid on Medicare for all. And these are just domestic issues. Go to foreign policy. It's a whole different thing. So Bernie Sanders has an actual humanitarian, progressive foreign policy. Elizabeth Warren does not. And these are just, so the whole media narrative that these two are basically the same candidates, but one's a woman and one's a man. No, that's not true at all. Are Bernie and Warren, I guess, the most left in this race? Yes, but that doesn't tell you the whole story, because Bernie is a lot more with the people, with workers, than Elizabeth Warren is. There is a clear difference here. Not to mention, Warren has not shown a willingness to challenge power. This example, the perfect example, is 2016. She could have challenged the Clinton machine. I think if she challenged Hillary Clinton in 2016, Warren would have won. Bernie waited to see if Warren would run, and she didn't. She was too afraid to challenge power. Bernie Sanders was not afraid. Bernie Sanders did challenge the Clinton machine. So that right there is one major example showing you where Bernie Sanders is actually willing to put his money where his mouth is. And you also apply that to things like Amazon. He got Amazon to raise their wages just as a senator. He got that to happen. This man has been not only consistent, not only been a leader on these issues, but has been the only person to actually challenge power and challenge the establishment of both parties. And his plan to get money out of politics also directly goes after the DNC. He wants to take corporate money even out of the inauguration and out of the Democratic National Convention. Elizabeth Warren's plan does not have that. So Elizabeth Warren just released her money in politics plan today. I didn't go all the way through it, but she doesn't appear to go after the Democratic Party. Maybe I missed it. I have to reread it. But Bernie's plan is in direct contrast to where the Democratic Party wants to go. And when you have people like Neera Tanden retweeting Warren's corporate money plan, it's probably not a good one. When you have Neera Tanden on your side, that's not a good sign. So there is one candidate in this race that you can actually trust. And even apart from that, he can actually defeat Trump. Every single poll shows Bernie defeating Trump by a large margin. Every poll going back to 2016 shows this. And if Trump isn't the nominee and he actually gets removed from office, which is unlikely, but if it happens, Bernie Sanders has a bold message to actually excite people out to vote, to get non-voters out to vote, to get independents out to vote. Both parties are historically unpopular. The only way you challenge that and win is by not being part of either party. Bernie Sanders is a lifelong independent. That gets people, that attracts people to his message and to his campaign. So yeah. Super chat just came in from Reagan Smash saying, I'm surprised Bernie has not brought up Warren's view on international policy. Everything I read is establishment politics or is just plain missing. Whereas Bernie voted against the Iraq war. Pretty big difference. Yeah, 100%. Has foreign policy come up at all in these debates? So, I guess the history, I think Biden's vote on the Iraq war may have come up in a previous debate, but I think Bernie brought it up. I'm not sure. I don't think the moderators brought it up. But they haven't really touched on foreign policy all that much or at all. Bernie Sanders should raise that. And he should mention how he's different from everybody else on the stage, including Elizabeth Warren, on foreign policy. So, yeah. I guess that's part of what I think Bernie should do before I get to the actual debate preview here. But let me see. Let's look at this average, this polling average here, because let's be honest, this doesn't look good right now. So you have Biden up here. Like Biden's what? So Biden was dropping consistently. Now he's jumped back up. But it appears that's been happening over the course of the past couple months. So he goes down, up, down, up, down. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what poll that is. This one here, maybe a Politico poll, then a Fox News poll. Yeah, these are all over the place. And also keep in mind, like, the polling doesn't look great right now, honestly. But understand here, a lot of this polling, younger people are underrepresented. I don't think I've ever answered the phone from a number I don't recognize. And I think that's most people. I don't know any millennial that answers the phone from a number they don't recognize. That's where this polling comes from. So, and also a lot of the polling is landlines, not even cell phones. So it's hard to describe. I mean, you saw this in 2016 where Trump was able to beat the polls because he got a lot of non-voters out to vote for him because they saw him as something different, something to change the system. So people came out to vote for him. So the polling wasn't really able to represent that as well. I think we're seeing a similar thing here with the youth vote and Bernie Sanders. And when you think back to I think it was Michigan, where Bernie was expected to be defeated by Hillary Clinton in the primary in 2016 by like 20 points, and he came back and won that race despite all the polling in Michigan. Bernie can win if you get people out to vote, if you get the youth out to vote, get non-voters out to vote, get people registered. New York now, I believe, has same-day registration for their primary day. That was just recently changed. But check your state. Actually, there's a website. Let me find it. I think it's voteforbernie.org. Here you go. This one right here. Do I have to see this? Okay, here we go. Here you go. So this tells you what state you're in. So go to voteforbernie.org, voteforbernie.org, FOR, and go to your state, and it tells you when to register. So Iowa, open caucus, the 3rd February. There you go. Iowans can vote for Bernie regardless of their party. Illinois, open primary, March 17th. Illinois can vote for Bernie Sanders regardless of their party. But some states are closed, right? So let's see, find a closed. Here we go. Closed primary, Kentucky. Kentuckians must register as a Democrat to vote for Bernie. So you click that, takes you down, and then you go to How to Vote Kentucky, and it brings you through the whole process. So, and enter your email address, zip code, like do all this stuff. You have to right now do this. Separate window, open the window, make sure you are registered and get other people that you know. I mean, a lot of you watching me probably already are registered and know all this already, but get people in your family, your friends. Voteforbernie.org, voteforbernie.org. Go to that website, get your family and friends to go to that website. It'll tell them when to register, where to register, what day the voting is, all that stuff. This is incredibly important, and honestly, I should talk about this more often because this is how to get people actually ensuring that they will vote. So I wanted to share that. I think there was one more thing. Oh no, I want to go back to the polling. So let's go back to this poll here. So this is the Real Clear Politics poll average. So it takes all the polls, averages them. So Bernie right now, still, clear third place. But Warren has dropped. Biden's back up, which is concerning. Sanders is down, then up, then down. Like, who knows what the hell's going on right now? I have no idea what the hell is going on here. The mass media has a large impact on this. Their complete ignorance most of the time of Bernie Sanders, unless there's a negative story on him. That shapes a lot of this because, again, a lot of these polls rely on older voters that are tuning into television and are the ones that are answering their phone when they're polled. So all that matters. So you're seeing a lot of that now. So it's really hard to really know. Like, there's no real pattern here. Like, I guess Warren's going up, but then she drops. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, this is why only these three candidates matter. Biden, Warren, Bernie. Pete Buttigieg is trying to matter at this point. He's, I think he just put out a recent video going after, I haven't watched it, but going after Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren on Medicare for All, even though, let's be honest here, only Bernie Sanders is actually going to fight for Medicare for All, but he has a video going after both of them. Pete Buttigieg is so bought and paid for. This guy is propped up by the most billionaire donors, has the most support within D.C., like, he's so manufactured, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine he's going to last in this race much longer, but he has the money, I guess, to do so because he's raising all this big donor money. So he may make some kind of push, but he's down here in the polling, along with Kamala Harris, kind of trading spaces. But, yeah. All right. Let's go to the CNN breakdown of this debate. So, might as well just read through this because we don't want to miss anything. The stakes are high for candidates participating in Tuesday's CNN New York Times Democratic debate as the presidential hopefuls look to remain competitive in the crowded primary field. Former Vice President Joe Biden will stand center stage, flanked by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. It will be businessman Tom Steyer's first presidential... Tom Steyer. Why is Tom Steyer in this debate? Oh, yeah, that's right, because he bought himself a spot on this debate. Tulsi Gabbard's back. And that's kind of... they summarize the story here. Biden, Warren, Bernie, Gabbard's back, and Tom Steyer's here for the first time. That's kind of what this debate is. So the debate's going to be on at 8 p.m. Eastern. I am not streaming it. A lot of YouTube people have had copyright issues when they've streamed debates in the past, so I'm not sure who will even try to debate it tonight. There may be people on Twitch trying to stream it. I will say, breaking news right now, I'm going to be on Matt Binder's Doomed podcast after the debate at, I think he said 11:30. So 11:30, I'll be on there talking about the debate and what happened. But I'm not going to be streaming or doing anything during the debate. I will tweet, I guess, but that's about it. But yeah, maybe people on Twitch will cover it, possibly. I think Majority Report covered it on Twitch without having any issues last time. But other people that covered it on Twitch got pulled down. So who knows? The copyright crap is so weird with this stuff, even when it comes to incredibly important discussions like a debate for president. And how to watch it. So I guess if you just want to watch it on CNN, you could do that. I assume it'll also be on the homepage, CNN's homepage, or the New York Times homepage. The debate will also be streamed to Facebook on CNN, CNN International, Politics, Replay, AC360, and Aaron Burnett's Out Front. In addition, the debate will be available across mobile devices. Okay, we assume all this stuff. Who is moderating? CNN anchors Aaron Burnett and Anderson Cooper and New York Times national editor Mark Lacey will serve as the Democratic debate moderators. I just had a coffee and I'm like jonesing right now, so I'm like slurring words. I think someone just sent me something. Super chat. Who do you think Tulsi will roast next? That's from Kenny Raymond. I think it's going to be Warren. So you're kind of spoiling what I'm going to get to here, but it will be Warren, I believe. But let me get to that in a second after I read through this. So I guess we're basically there. Okay, so Joe Biden. Let's start with Joe Biden. What's Joe Biden going to do? I made some notes because some of them, maybe I have some ideas of what might happen. Other people, I have just no idea at all. Joe Biden, I think he'll say some weird stuff that'll be meme worthy. That's pretty much Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not going to make much sense. He's going to say some really dumb things, and I hope he gets some good laughs out of this night from Joe Biden. That's kind of what I expect from him. I feel like the moderators aren't going to be all that tough on him. I hope he gets attacked by both Bernie and Warren. Actually, I really don't care what Warren does, to be honest. I support Bernie, but I hope Biden gets attacked on his record. Bernie needs to make a clear distinction between Biden and him on their records, in addition to making a clear distinction between himself and Warren on their records. But let's go down to Joe Biden. I know he's an important part of this debate, but I just feel like if he's going to be defeated in this primary, it has to be because Warren or Sanders do it, and they have to go. They have to get over the noise that supports Joe Biden for some reason. Joe Biden's support is not solid. It is very weak. So the more people see other candidates in the race, the more they will move off of Joe Biden. We have seen this consistently. So we expect this to continue. But if only the oldest voters come out to vote, Joe Biden's support is the highest among people that are 60 plus, then Joe Biden will win the nomination. So if you are under 60 or over 60 and you support Bernie Sanders, but if you're under 60, make sure not just you go out and vote, but activate other people in your generation, people you know, friends and family, to go out and register. Go to voteforbernie.org, see where you have to vote, when your voting day is, and make sure you go out and vote. That's the only way you will change that. All right. Cory Booker. I got nothing. I mean, honestly, these, most of the people in this debate, I don't care. I don't know why they're still here. This debate should really only be between Biden, Warren, and Sanders. I really have no idea why the restrictions aren't tighter on this debate. There's more people in this debate now than the previous debates. This is 12 people on stage. So at most before it was 10. Now we're back up to 12. What's going on here? Enough of this crap. It's 3 months till the voting starts. Get out of here. I just heard somebody send something. By the way, if I missed your super chat earlier, if you sent one earlier, I will read them all after just to make sure I got everybody. Radama says, thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your super chat. Okay, where was I? Cory Booker. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I just don't. I don't think he really matters. Who's next on this list here? Pete Buttigieg. Good old Pete. Yeah, so Mayor Pete is now going after Bernie Sanders on Medicare for All. I mean, he's been doing it before, but he just released a new video about it. So maybe he'll do that again. I'm sure he'll make that distinction again. I just feel like he never really stands out in any of these debates. He kind of just coasts. So if you support Pete, I guess you'll continue to support him and not care that he's just completely propped up by big dollar money or big donor money, big dollar money as well. But yeah, he's going to be somebody who's just kind of always going to be in this race for a bit because he has the money behind him. It's so hard for me to understand his appeal. I think he's someone that appeals to boomers that think he appeals to younger people. That's what Pete Buttigieg represents to me. Boomers support him because boomers think that Buttigieg appeals to younger people, and that's how they're going to win. But no, he doesn't. Stop supporting Pete Buttigieg. Just wasting your time on a totally propped up candidate. Julian Castro. I don't mind Castro. Out of, it's a big race. Obviously, I don't support Castro, but compared to a lot of these candidates, he's not bad. He said some kind things about Bernie recently as well, so that kind of softened me up to him. But again, he shouldn't be in this race still. He's polling at 2-3%. Why are we wasting our time? Let's go to Gabbard. So I think Tulsi Gabbard, as I was saying earlier to a super chat, I think Tulsi Gabbard is going to go after Elizabeth Warren. So she went after and just completely took down Kamala Harris in that second debate. I don't know if she's going to be as effective on Warren as she was on Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was more of an unknown quantity. Warren is more of a known quantity. So people are known in the sense that people have known her longer and have more of an attachment to her than Kamala Harris supporters had to her. So it's possible with the right attack that Tulsi Gabbard will peel off some voters. I mean, look, I would love it if Tulsi Gabbard goes after Warren and then those Warren supporters go to Bernie. That'd be fantastic. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of Warren support now is getting a little tighter because a lot of Warren support came from Kamala Harris. So, essentially, you have people jumping from candidate to candidate that were Hillary Clinton supporters in 2016, then Kamala Harris supporters, and now Warren supporters. That's kind of where these people's heads are at. They want something different in the White House. They want a woman in the White House, and I totally get the desire for that. But there is no Bernie equivalent in this race that's not Bernie. So look, I would love it if Bernie Sanders was, I don't know, a 50-year-old lesbian black woman. Like, that'd be great. But he's not. Bernie is Bernie. He has his record. He is who he is. He's the only fighter in this race. Representation absolutely matters. It absolutely does matter. And I hope one day there is a woman in the White House. But Bernie Sanders right now is just leagues ahead of everybody else in this race in terms of who you can actually trust on these issues, who you will actually fight for you. So it's not a debate for me. Like, I understand that desire, but people that often desire that are people that their lives are fine. They can afford healthcare. They're making good money. They don't really worry too much. So they can afford to support someone like Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders. But people that actually know the records, know who will fight for them, understand that Bernie is the choice here. Kamala Harris. Again, why? Why? Well, what am I going to say about Kamala Harris that hasn't already been said before? She'll try to stand out again. All these candidates will try to have their moment, but it's too late. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to bounce back now. Maybe if she has some amazing night, she'll have a little bump at the beginning, in the next week, and then it'll just drop off again. So I don't really get why a lot of these people are still in this race, except for their own egos, really, and maybe to try and leech votes off of other candidates. I don't know. Amy Klobuchar. Why? I'm just running out of things to say. Amy Klobuchar, I'm not even going to waste my time. She's just, why are you in this race? Beto O'Rourke, all these candidates, why are you in this race? Beto O'Rourke, another candidate who I don't know. I almost like him more at this point. Like, it's just, Beto's at least, I guess, showed some fight. Like, he's redone his campaign 3 different times. Hasn't really worked out. Still thinks he has support outside of Texas, or maybe he knows he doesn't, but he's running. Again, ego is so much of all of this. I don't know. The money he raised in the third quarter is nowhere near what he raised in the first and second quarters. He's dropping quick. These people are just about done. Tom Steyer is just beginning. This man bought himself into this race. He had a massive email list from his campaign against Trump for the previous 3 years. So he used that email list to then raise money for himself for this race, and was able to raise enough money because he had a massive email list to be able to buy his way into this debate. That's exactly what happened. Tom Steyer is a total fraud. This is not someone you can trust on these issues, on anything he says. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't like Trump. No one does. But when it comes to challenging the powerful, are you going to trust a billionaire to challenge the powerful? I wouldn't. I mean, I guess it worked out with FDR. One of the few cases where you have somebody, of wealth, of means, and took steps to actually push for moves that are in favor of labor. But understand, FDR was under a lot of pressure from communists, from left-wing groups that essentially made him do what he was going to do, or what he did with the New Deal. Tom Steyer is not going to have, or even if he had that pressure on him, I don't think he would care. So let's not waste our time even talking about Tom Steyer anymore. Elizabeth Warren. Just seeing where I'm on this list. Elizabeth Warren, yes. Elizabeth Warren. I'll get to Bernie at the end. Elizabeth Warren will do what she's been doing. She'll play progressive. She'll pretend she's something she's not. She'll waver on issues. She may even sound great in this debate. She may say, yeah, I'm totally with Medicare for all. I mean, what I would love is if one of the moderators brought up the fact that Harry Reid just said this past weekend that Elizabeth Warren will not fight for Medicare for all. That she's way more pragmatic. That's his words, pragmatic. Even though I don't think, not supporting Medicare for all doesn't make you pragmatic. But in Harry Reid's eyes, Elizabeth Warren's more pragmatic, won't actually fight for Medicare for all. A moderator should bring that up and ask Warren, will you fight for Medicare for all? But these questions are never framed from a left-wing perspective. They're always framed from a corporate perspective. So it's very unlikely that we'll get that question. Instead, we'll probably get softballs. Elizabeth Warren will just be throwing some softballs, and as she has been this whole time. And she'll get to play the game. She'll get to pretend she's something she's not. Now, again, I like Warren more than anybody else on this list, except for Bernie, obviously. But once you get there, it's not even close. Bernie has the fight. He has the grassroots support. He has the people that or the workers, movements, activists that will actually fight for change if Bernie becomes president. Warren, I don't think, is going to utilize a movement. Her movement is half the size, likely smaller than Bernie's in terms of her individual donors, her volunteers, her grassroots support. And what is she going to do with that? Like with Warren, what I see is Obama 2.0. Someone that says some of the right things, may fight on some issues, but ultimately is going to be a failure. So, yeah, it's hard to even know what to say now with the growth in her support, because it's unclear who I can actually talk to in her base that will wake up and support Bernie instead. Because it does just seem like a lot of Hillary supporters. And maybe there are people that are in that base that are fooled and think, oh, well, I like Bernie and I like Warren, but Warren's a woman and we need a woman in the White House now. And, it's her time and Bernie had his chance. Maybe there are people like that, but then you really are not engaged or were never engaged with who Bernie Sanders actually is and understand that why this candidate is so different than Elizabeth Warren. For me, it's just so obvious that I have a hard time trying to explain it to people, because how do you not just see it? Like, look at Bernie talking about climate change in the 80s, him supporting one of the first gay pride parades in the 80s, his history discussing income inequality and pushing back against the military-industrial complex. I mean, over and over again, he has shown a history of fighting against the powerful and being a leader on issues, despite what people might say about him, despite how he may be smeared. He's been a leader on these issues. That is why he should be president, because he is an actual leader. It is incredibly rare to have a politician like this that actually leads, that actually works to educate people. Most politicians go with the wind. They'll just... if one of the biggest giveaways for Elizabeth Warren, that I covered this in a previous video, I think my Harry Reid Warren video, I showed how in 2012 Elizabeth Warren ran for Senate. She wouldn't answer if she supported single payer healthcare, and the one time she did answer, she said no, that she doesn't support single payer healthcare. But then her book that was published, I believe, 2 years prior to that, so 2010, she said that a single payer system is the only way to go, but it's politically unpalatable. Bernie Sanders would not say that. Bernie Sanders would say, hey, okay, Medicare for all, it's not popular right now, but I know it's the correct policy, and I know if I make the case to people, they will jump on board. That's what he's done. He is a leader. Instead of moving with the wind, he actually fights for what he knows is right. That's who you need as president. It's just, if you don't get this already, I don't know what else to say. And that brings me to Bernie Sanders in this debate. Bernie Sanders has to make that case. He has to make the case that he has been a leader on these issues, that he has been there before everybody else, that he was there before it was popular, and also that he defeats Trump in every single poll, that he has the most grassroots or the biggest grassroots movement, the most individual donors, the most individual donations, the most volunteers. He has to make that case that the movement is behind him, and also make the case that he is an independent senator and how that speaks to people who are non-voters. Both parties are historically unpopular. If you make the case, hey, I'm an independent senator, a lot of people don't like either party, but you get those people out to vote with a campaign that is based in being with the people and seeing how me as a candidate, as an independent, I have a history of challenging both parties, a history of challenging both the Democratic and the Republican Party's establishment. He has to make that case. So if he makes that entire case and also can hopefully separate himself from Warren, also including the fact, in that case that he's an independent and Warren's a Democratic senator, you make the case and the people will come on board. but he has to make that case, and he has to do it with strength. Don't be afraid to yell. I mean, the pundits are so effing annoying. When Bernie gets angry about issues on the debate stage, and you'll see idiots like Jennifer Rubin tweet out, "Oh, why is Bernie yelling so much?" Like, if you're not yelling, then you're not paying attention. If you aren't pissed off at what is happening and how you're being screwed, then you aren't paying attention, or it's not affecting you. So just that shit pisses me off. So Bernie has to yell. He has to get angry because that activates people. People at home watching that understand that because they feel that themselves. So that's how I feel. I've heard some super chats come in. So let me see what's here. And then I'll have to probably get out of here soon. I'm expecting an important phone call. I'm surprised it didn't come yet. But I'm also glad it didn't come yet because it'd be weird if I have to cut out now. Let's see what's come through. Gino Callis asks, do you think the Kurd situation will come up? I hope it does. Because Bernie is solid on foreign policy issues, I hope it does come up. And I think he'd be able to give the best answer on that. Yeah. So I don't know if it will, but I feel like it will because it's a big story right now with what Turkey's doing there in Syria and just, massacring the Kurds. And it's also an anti-Trump, story. So CNN always loves that. So there's another reason to bring it up. So I think it will come up. Students for Our Revolution. Word from Bernie camp. AOC endorsement in New York on Saturday. I hope that's right. So let me show you if I can find the tweet on my page first. That a tweet that went out earlier about a special guest. Here we go. So on Saturday, New York City, Bernie's having his Bernie's Back rally, and there's going to be a special guest. Now, I speculated on Twitter that it's either going to be AOC or Cardi B. So that's what I think. One of these two. I would prefer AOC, obviously. The endorsement, I think, would be super important. So, hey, I'm not sure where your information is coming from, Students for Our Revolution. But if that's true, and actually somebody replied to this, I believe, with right here. AOC liked this tweet saying that with the special guest. So Bernie tweeted about the special guest. AOC liked it. So maybe that means the endorsement. I mean, that's kind of what he needs right now. He needs this jolt. He needs a jolt from someone like AOC endorsing him to really get people out there and back on board the Bernie train. So there you go. Very possible that we will see a AOC endorsement this Saturday. That'd be great. I mean, they wouldn't mention special guest unless it was a special guest, and that would be a special guest. Though Cardi B also a special guest. Just, I mean, we know she already supports him, so it wouldn't be too much of a surprise. Sorry. No, you're right. Saki Legenda said I skipped Andrew Yang. I did skip Andrew Yang. Because I was looking at my list. I wrote a list where I put Bernie in a different spot because I want to talk about him at the end, and then I skipped over Andrew Yang. You are correct. Thank you. Andrew Yang. I think his support's going to continue to grow. Andrew Yang is somebody that I don't personally support. I think he leans a little more libertarian than I would like. But I think he's genuine. I do think that he truly believes the stuff he is saying, and that is rare, again, in politicians, that they're actually, they're not lying to you when they're answering questions. So I think Andrew Yang is going to continue to build support. He's already, let me look at this. I'm not sure how well he's doing now in the polling, but last I checked, there was one poll where he was over Harris. I think he's back down now. he's hovering around there somewhere. So he's about, sixth place. I mean, considering where this race started, where it was like, over 20 candidates, Yang being top 6, I think it shows you how much people want outsiders. And I put Bernie in that camp. I think Bernie's an outsider. As a lifelong independent senator, he's never had to answer to either party. So you look at Bernie as an outsider, you look at Yang as an outsider. I think that's a big part. And Trump, of course, before he won, was a fake outsider. He was a political outsider, but he was always an insider in terms of class, where he was in life, being born into wealth. So Trump never actually related to the average person, but he pretended to. And because he was never a politician, that attracted people. But clearly, didn't work out too well. Okay. If there's no more super chats, I'm going to get out of here. Laura, let me get some random chats and just double check the super chats. Okay. What's happening here? Tom Steyer got 2%. What an effing joke. From Tim Buck. Yeah. I can't leave my thing up here. My mouse, I guess. But, yeah, like, where are these people? Like, this. So let's just look at this for, like, Klobuchar, 1.6. Like, are you kidding me? Bullock, okay, Bullock's not in the race or in the debate, right? I don't think he made it. There's no way. Ryan's not in the debate. Bennett's gone. Yeah, but Jesus, Booker 1.6. I mean, Gabbard's 0.8. She ain't doing too well either, but she also wasn't included in the last debate, so that's gonna obviously affect your numbers. Okay, I'm trying to look for any random message that I can mention before going. Seems to be some Yang gang in here. Or maybe it's one person just messaging over and over again. We haven't even seen Corn Pop's final form yet. That from Michael McClelland. All right. Doesn't seem to be much for me to comment here. Man, when I drink some coffee, my mind just races and I can't even speak. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. I'm going to be live again on Friday. So every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, I go live on my channel. And I'm going to be on Matt Binder's show tonight. Doomed. Just follow Matt Binder on Twitter if you don't already. He does great stuff. So I'll be talking about the debate with him after the debate tonight at 11:30. And I'll be tweeting as well throughout it. All right. Thanks for watching, and see you all live again on Friday.